Ben DeMona for the 23rd Annual Film C.Vis International Commercial Arbitration. My wife told me not to do this, but once again, I'm going to say, for those of you who don't know it already, Ben DeMona really is the name of this city, if you speak Latin. So that strange name in the problem, there's a reason for it. Anyway, we have, once again, a record number of teams from all over the world, and we look forward to a week which will be full of arguments, legal activities, social activities, and all of them are part of what makes the Moot what it is. So, again, we start tonight with a program that is essentially one welcome from various people who are associated with the Moot, have been associated with the Moot over the years. Now we'll start with one of the three co-directors of the Moot, Christopher Key.
Thank you very much, Eric. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you here on behalf of the co-directors of the Moot, my colleagues Magister Patricia Natal and Professor Dr. Stefan Kroll. I think this is something that you will hear, and I'm speaking directly to the students now, I think this is something that you'll hear many times during this week, but irrespective of the outcome of the competition, you are already winners simply for being here. And it's easy to say that, and perhaps might be a little bit more difficult to make it immediately apparent, but I think I'll take on that challenge and I'll try and identify some points as to why that's the case. My first suggestion is that you simply look around you. Look at the grandeur and the majesty of the venue that we're in tonight and the number of people that are in the room. It gives you a sense of how significant an event this particular Moot is and the community which you are now all joining. And I can give you a few specific numbers. So, this year we have 311 teams, as Eric mentioned, a record. There are 622 hearings, and that doesn't include the final rounds. 482 arbitrators volunteered to rank the first round memorandum. 830 arbitrators are currently here or planning to arrive shortly. I like this one. I don't think Stefan did. There were 2,408 clarification requests. And that's not including the ones that came through Hong Kong. There are 727 registered coaches. There are 1,983 registered team members. And to give you a real sense of proportion, since October, we have sent more than 25,000 emails associated with the Moot. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a grand event. You are winners for simply participating. The work that you've put in over the last 6 months will hold you in incredible stead when it comes to applying for jobs and just your future career. Take it from someone who participated as a student that it can be years later that you realise just how valuable this experience has been. With that, I'll conclude my words of welcome again on behalf of my co-directors who you'll hear from shortly and say good luck, but most importantly, have fun. Thank you.
This year, as has been the case for the last 20 years, the headquarters of the Moot during this coming week are in the Eurydica, the building, the law school building of the law faculty of the University of Vienna. Aside from hosting the event, hosting a major portion of it because we've outgrown the facilities there at the Iridium. The University of Vienna is one of 4 universities that are members of, in German, Verein, that's translated as association, which is the legal entity which organizes the movement. So tonight, to speak on behalf of the University of Vienna, we have University Professor Dr. Friedrich Rüffler.
Dear Professor Bergstein, dear members of the organizational committee, and dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues from all over the world. I'm here tonight to welcome you in the name of the University of Vienna and its law faculty. The Faculty of Law is very proud to be the hosting institution and the partner of the Willem C.Vis Moot Court. It was last year when I was here for the first time. I had last year the honor to speak some welcome words. And it was the first time that I attended the opening ceremony. And I was really deeply impressed to see so many ambitious young people having fun and being proud and happy of being here from all over the world, from such different countries as, for example, Israel, Iran, or the United States. So I wish you all an inspiring week and an inspiring competition. And as far as I, as an old man, still know a little bit, Vienna is also a good place to have fun. So it's not a very academic advice that I give you now, but I think that besides of all aspects of international arbitration, of the WIAC rules and the international law of the sale of goods, and besides the wish to win the competition, I think there's one very important aspect of this event and this week here in Vienna, to get to know people from all over the world, maybe to make friends for a lifetime. Maybe in some years, some of you will conquer in real terms as well-known and well-paid arbitration practitioners arguing big cases. I wish that it will come true if you want. If that are your goals. But for this week, as you said, also have some fun. Thank you very much.
I mentioned that there are 4 universities, along with some other entities, people in the Verein, the association. One of them is Pace University in the United States. The Moot began from Pace. It was several of us there. It wasn't so much that we had the idea, but we implemented an idea which had been voiced by somebody else, to have such a competition. And so we came to Vienna. I'll speak more about that at a later point in time. So to speak for Pace University, Professor Darren Rosen.
Good evening, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today to welcome you to Vienna, and thank you to Eric. It's an astounding experience for me every time I come here to experience how many people are here from how many countries. Frankly, even though I grew up in New York, I've never encountered anything like that. And it really reflects some important values about transnational law that I think we share, about the value of diversity within law. And I really credit the Moot and Eric's leadership for instilling that in all of us every year on a regular basis. I want to thank and congratulate the students who are here, who've worked so hard, some of you for several years on this. And it really amazes me also when I look at my own students as well as looking at you, that you are all here representing people who have sacrificed for you to be here, that your families, your friends, your teachers, your coaches, and you really honor them with your hard work, and you really should be proud of that. I also want to thank the arbitrators, because I think having practiced for 7 years in big firms doing international arbitration, I know that it's not easy to take away a week from one's family or one's clients to come to Vienna and dedicate this much time and energy to this educational endeavor. And I think their efforts really mark what is the best of our profession of law. And then last, but certainly not least, to the current tireless organizers, Patricia, Chris, and Stefan, for the smooth operation, or at least for us, the smooth operation of this amazing event. Last, I just want to recognize my homeschool's own role here. Pace, as Eric mentioned, founded the school. Eric did the bulk of the labor to honor our Professor Willem. And Eric has really made this his life's work. And it's through his principled passion, consistently making sure, year after year, that the best result would come out, that the Moot was guided into becoming this phenomenal experience for all of us. And we're so proud at Pace to count you among our faculty. I also want to recognize Al Kritzer, who is no longer among us, who founded the CISG database, which no doubt many of you have used, and which continues to grow thanks to the current executive director of Pace's Institute for International Commercial Law, Vicki Rogers. Pace is also building on this CISG database and expanding into online pre-moots. We had, I think, 90 pre-mooters this year, pre-moot teams this year, and we'll continue to help out and do what we can to support international arbitration and sales for the global community. Now, one thing that I was thinking about getting ready to come here today is thinking about when Eric and others founded the Moot 23 years ago. We didn't all have smartphones and keyboards connecting us constantly to each other across the globe. This was really the one way in which we would connect with each other across the world. But coming here, we all still come even though we have those things today. Because really, when you come here, you realize that those things, your little phone and your texting, messaging on Facebook or Snapchat, it's all child's play compared to being here. Because this is the real world. This is really where the world meets. And I'm so proud and honored to have been part of it. And thank you, Eric, and all the organizers for their hard work. And congratulations to all the teams, and good luck.
There are a number of people here in the audience who've been with the Moot for a long time. I think there's only one, however, who was with the Moot before it took place, and that's our next speaker. When we thought about organizing the Moot, we decided we should hold it outside the United States. An American university organizing an international event, if we held it in the United States, it would be have too much of the feel of being local, and that's not what we wanted. We wanted it to be international. We thought about Vienna, partly because of Unsichtral, a big portion of it was because of Unsichtral, where I had been associated for 16 years. Willem had been the secretary of it. But we had no money. We were going to organize it across the ocean, we needed logistical help, support. And our next speaker is the person who gave it to us, Dr. Werner Mavis. At the time, he was the Secretary General of the Vienna International Arbitral Center, and he said, Eric, I don't really understand what you're proposing, but I'll help you out. He didn't say it one time, but he meant one time. It was at the close of the first event where he said, if Pace wants to do this again, we'll support you a second time. And we've gone on from there. So, I welcome Dr. Werner Mavis.
Dear Eric, well, Eric has just said what I wanted to say. It was mentioned that he left Vienna, and then out of the blue, he came one day in my office and said, well, whether I could give him some rooms for a Moot. I had no idea what a Moot was. I didn't ask, of course. But I said only, how many rooms do you need? He gave a number of rooms, not very many, so it was not a problem. You could have the rooms. Then, surprisingly, as you said, the next year you came again, and I understood in the meantime what a Moot was. But I did not know that you wanted to continue that. And I asked again, how many rooms? You gave me about a double number. No problem. Then came the third year. And there you wanted more than double the number of rooms. And here we were actually already at the limits because I could not close the organization for the week before Easter because of the Moot. And so, well, I thought, well, this will be the last time, but now I knew that Eric would come again. And so, fortunately, I met a friend of mine, the then Dean of the Law Faculty, Peeler, and I said, well, can you do something about it? And he said, well, so many rooms you need, no problem. So at this time, you needed only a fraction of the law faculty. And then, 1998, at the opening of the 5th Moot, I said the following, quote, one thing, however, worries us. The child is now 5 years old and will have to go to school next year. But it's growing so fast that it might outgrow all available facilities. However, I'm sure that the father, Eric Bergson, will cope with this problem as usual. And I must say, he did until now, and with the help of his team, which is incredible, which means that until now, the Moot is as it used to be. You have not divided it in parts, thanks God, and it is working. And so I'm quite sure that also this Moot will be a tremendous success and a good occasion for all participants to establish lifetime friendship with participants from all over the world, which will also be useful for their later professional life. And I'm very happy that you will be obliged to use the Vienna rules now, because then you might consider to come again to Vienna. And this will be good for us. But then, again, I would say, as far as the Moot is concerned, I have the impression that you will also be among those persons who will make it after the end of this moot, make a distinction between persons who have participated at the moot and persons who have not. And I think that's a very good idea. But as far as the work is concerned, please remember what really counts is less to win, but to have participated. I wish you a pleasant and successful time. Thank you.
Even after we left the Wirtschaftskammer, where the arbitral center is located, in part of it, that Dr. Melis was a constant supporter, advisor, and it was a time when we really needed support and advice to be able to keep going. And so I thank him once again for all that he has done in the past. One of the things which he said at an early stage, a little bit similar to what I've already said about at PACE, that we thought we should not hold Moot in the United States, to give it more of the flavor of being international. He suggested that we should not use the Vienna rules because he wanted the other arbitral organizations to feel that this could be their moot as well as Vienna Arbitral Center's moot. And that was the case. This is the first year we've used the Vienna International Arbitration Center's rules. 23 years. That may be somewhat surprising to most of you. There have been some other organizations whose rules we've used 2 or 3 times. But it's the first time for the Vienna. Because, again, the desire was to make the moot one which was, well, I can't say international in this case, but at least not a parochial operation. But this year we are using the Vienna rules, and I think it's a good thing that we are doing it now in our 23rd year, and as a representative of the current board of the Vienna International Arbitration Center, I wish to welcome Dr. Günther Horvath to speak.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Vienna International Arbitral Center, the VIAC, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of the teams, coaches, and arbitrators who have traveled far and wide to come to this 23rd Moot Court. I know that you are all aware of what the VIAC is, since the rules are being used in the competition this year. At this stage, some of you might know the rules much better than myself. VIAC has supported the Vis Moot from its very beginning, back in 1994, and even hosted, as you heard, the first moots in its premises. VIAC can now look back on over 40 years of administering international arbitrations since its creation by Dr. Werner Melis in 1975. In order to maintain its role as a leading institution in a region of 200 million people, VIAC has elected modern, flexible, and user-friendly rules, which you are enjoying in the moot this year. Every year, over 300 teams of students this year, from more than 60 countries from across the world, come to Vienna, the heart of Europe, to prove their advocacy skills. Not only that, but hundreds of well-known arbitrators, practitioners, and academics also descend upon Vienna to sit as arbitrators and judge the oral arguments. In this week, Vienna is is dancing with the crème de la crème of the arbitration world. With some pride, let me say, the founders of the Moot could not have chosen a better place for this fine event. With 125 years of legal tradition in commercial arbitration, Vienna is the venue of choice for international arbitration in Central and Eastern Europe. Austria's modern arbitration law, with one poor instance only for challenges of awards, its arbitration-friendly and reliable judicial system, the availability of skilled lawyers and support, as well as its safety and accessibility, position Vienna as one of the world's leading arbitration centers. You have all been working very hard in submitting the written briefs, and many of you will already have been practicing your oral advocacy in pre-moots. The Fredrik Eisenman Award for Team Orens went to the University of Ottawa last year. They are back, I understand, to defend their title, and I'm sure you're all well prepared and ready to give them a run for their money this year. The Moot is a unique opportunity, and I would recommend you make the most out of it. It will be of great benefit to you and your future career as lawyers, in particular if you choose to pursue a career in dispute resolution. An interesting aspect of this year's problem is the pathological arbitration clause, the reference to a non-existing international arbitration tribunal. Some of you may think this is some sort of joke. How could parties who are represented by counsel agree to arbitrate under the auspices of a non-existing institution? In practice, this is a very real problem. In large transactions, the dispute resolution clause is often referred to as the midnight clause, when all of the terms and conditions of the deal have been agreed that the last minute the dispute resolution clause goes copy-paste into the contract. I remember the call of a good friend who led a team of negotiating the sale of a steel mill in Lagos, Nigeria. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "Günther, please get up and help. The guys here want what they call an arbitration clause in the contract. Come on, just give me a few words to satisfy their request." So, you see, it is a real-life problem. Well, in closing, I'd like to thank the people who make all this happen. First and foremost, the C.Vis Moot president and the founding father, Professor Eric Börser. Without his dedication and perseverance, all this would not happening for the 23rd time. And the directors, Christopher Key, Patricia Neta, and Stefan Kröll, congratulations for organizing such a fantastic event. The entire VIAP team wishes you all the best of luck in the competition. And have a great time. Thank you very much.
I've already mentioned Anzikral. Anzikral is key, among many other keys. There's more than one key. It's key to what the Moot is about. Anzikral, whose function is to prepare uniform and harmonized law for international trade, private law side of international trade. Prepared the Sales Convention, the CISG, the Anzikral arbitration rules, which are in fact the basis of the VIAC rules, and many other institutions' rules. The Anzikral model law, international commercial arbitration, which is, I don't know what the number of countries is that has adopted it, somewhere in the 50 or 60 range. There are other activities, but these are the ones that are relevant to the Moot. And it's very important for the Moot that we are And tonight, to represent UNCITRAL, we have Mr. Timothy LeMay, who is the Deputy Secretary General, or Deputy Secretary, I should say, of UNCITRAL.
Thank you very much, Eric, and good evening to everyone. Let me start by saying on behalf of the Secretary of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL, that it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Vienna and to the 23rd Willem C.Vis International Arbitration Moot. UNCITRAL is privileged to have been involved with the Vis Moot ever since its beginning in the early 1990s, as you've heard. And the arbitration moot competition that you are undertaking is not only a highly successful worldwide student competition, it's also a very powerful means to disseminate information on UNCITRAL texts. Over the past 20 years, 20,000 students, some 20,000 students have been trained through the moot. And numerous universities have added courses dedicated to international commercial arbitration, thanks to the Vis Moot. For those who don't know, UNCITRAL is an organ of the General Assembly of the United Nations, and as such it carries out its work on the basis of a mandate which is twofold. One part of that mandate, the legislative part, relates to the preparation and adoption of international instruments in the field of trade law. The other part relates to technical assistance that UNCITRAL provides to ensure that its texts are adopted and that they're adequately implemented. And some of you may be aware that each year a report is made by the chair of UNCITRAL to the United Nations General Assembly. And that includes a report on this competition. And so it is taken note of in the highest councils of the international community. The Vis Moot is one of the most inventive ways to promote the texts of the United Nations body. Nowadays, arbitration moot competitions modeled on the moot are organized in various parts of the world, but at the time it was conceived, it was very innovative. We owe this, as we've heard, and I think it's important to reinforce, we owe this to the creativity, the energy, and the vision of a number of people, but so preeminently to the vision of Professor Eric Bergsten, who has also received, I'd like to mention, in 2014 at the International Council for Commercial Arbitration Conference in Vienna, he received an award for his contributions to the development of international commercial arbitration. As a professor, as a former secretary of UNCITRAL, actively involved in drafting the texts, such as the UNCITRAL arbitration rules, and as the father of the moot. Professor Bergsten, we do not have, as you know, awards in the UN system, but please be sure that we're well aware of your unique contribution to the mandate of UNCITRAL. And we hope that in your preparations, all of you have benefited from other UNCITRAL technical assistance tools, such as the Digest Case Law and the New York Convention Guide website. All of these are accessible on the UNCITRAL website. And we continue to be at the center of developments in the field of international arbitration, having concluded just in the past 2 years the UNCITRAL rules on transparency in treaty-based investor-state arbitration, as well as an international convention on the same subject, to which there are already 60 state signatories. And these texts will help ordinary citizens and civil society actors worldwide to become informed about and to take part in investor-state arbitrations that will be affecting their communities. Meanwhile, please accept our best wishes to all of you for success over the next several days, for an enjoyable stay in Vienna. Do not forget to be creative in facing the challenges ahead, not only for this competition, but for your future career. Thank you, and good luck.
one of the many positive developments that has come out of the Moot has been the continued association of former participants. You see this in many ways, and you go to a conference on arbitration, now international arbitration. It's amazing how many young lawyers, and now some who are no longer not so young, come up and say, I participated in the Moot in whenever, and come up with some kind of report. This is, I mean, for me personally, as you can well imagine, it's very pleasing. But I've also heard anecdotes of lawyers who have said that they've gone into an arbitration, and one of the lawyers on the other side from another country has come up and said, I know you. You sat on my argument in Moot in, 5 years ago. And this really has happened. I'm looking at the person who told me about this happening. But aside from these personal, individual kinds of continuing associations, there's also the Moot Alumni Association, the organization representing the former participants. And to speak now for the Moot Alumni Association, Mr. Falco Price.
Good evening, everybody. Now, I am quite aware of the fact that I'm one of the very few people who are still standing between you and some well-deserved snacks and refreshing drinks. So that means that I will conduct that speech in a very time-efficient manner. And I do know that you know that is very important, especially in international arbitration. Now, Chris in the very beginning already said that you all are already winners. And he's right. I assume you've heard that many times by now. But I'd like to say something on top of that, supporting Chris' statement. Now, your social lives during the past couple of months have suffered greatly. I assume that you've hardly seen any friends. And if you have, they probably wondered about your sudden interest about wine business and weird jokes which nobody really got. Well, that happened to many, many students before you. And yet again, if you look around yourself during the past couple of months, and especially during these next couple of days, they still come back here every year for free in their spare time. They come back to help the Moot, to help you, making it very rememberable for you. And this is for this particular reason, because eventually everybody realizes that just sitting here, like you, being here, means that you already won. And these people, some of them have been around since the very beginning from the Moot for 23 years now. Some of them have been students competing just like you. Some of them just joined later because they realized what a great opportunity and a great educational experience the whole Moot is. And they simply want to give something back to, essentially to you, to the coaches as well as to the students. And therefore, I'd like to ask you to make the very, very best of your stay here in Vienna. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean staying in your hotel room every night, locking yourself in there, studying the arguments which you have been working on for the last months. Making the best out of the Moot means, of course, participating in the rounds and giving your best, but it also means making use of what is offered to you, and that is use the Moot as a tool Chris already said, and many others before me said, that former students will become lawyers eventually, and quite a number ends up being lawyers in arbitration. So I urge you, don't stay in your rooms, just study. Go out, mingle, network, make new friends, find colleagues, and simply get together and have a good time in Vienna. And then maybe, eventually, you will realize that the Moot is an exceptional experience, and maybe you want to give something back yourself. Now, obviously, you may come back as a coach, which is highly appreciated. You may come back as an arbitrator, and you may take part in the organization of pre-Moot or of the Moot itself. But one other possibility of giving something back is joining the Moot Alumni Association. We are, as Eric already pointed out, a network of many young and also by now many slightly not so young colleagues, which we appreciate because this is the kind of diversity we really want. So I would kindly ask you to consider joining us, supporting us in making the Moot as rememberable as it was for you, or hopefully will be for you, to future students. Get in touch with us, come drop by, we're in the Dachgeschoss, we have a desk over there, and join in. We are organizing conferences, we are organizing the parties during the Moot weeks in Hong Kong and in Vienna. And this brings me to my second, slightly less interesting part, which are some housekeeping matters. We are organizing the parties during this week, and as some of you probably already realized, unfortunately this year there isn't just one Moot bar. This year there are two Moot bars. Now this happened on short notice, I know that, and now it gets a bit complicated. So the ones of you who have been around for the last years will know the Ostclub, or as it is now called, Schwarzberg. This will remain the Moot bar for tonight, so please come over tonight to the Ostclub, and tomorrow. After that, however, which is Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, it will be Au Gazelle, which isn't far away. It's easy to find. We also put on our website a couple of flyers and maps, which we also have printed out on our MAA desk. So please drop by. We don't want you to go to the wrong bar. Once you're at our desk in the Dachgeschoss, we also organize a walking tour and a goulash dinner during this week. Now registration on the website has been closed, however there's still tickets left. If you want tickets, come by at the MAA desk and just buy some more tickets. If you have tickets already but haven't paid, drop by at the MAA desk. If you have any questions or if you want to get in touch with us and help us, drop by at the MAA desk. So, that already concludes the housekeeping matters for now. I would like to ask you again, enjoy your time in Vienna, go out, talk to us, talk to your colleagues, talk to the arbitrators. They will be out too at night, and that might come in handy at some point. And we're looking forward to meeting you hopefully very soon during this week. Thanks.